Hey everyone, I'm Sarah, and tonight we're going to be doing an acrylic painting. Painting! Yay! We haven't done that in a few weeks because I have had some busy Saturdays, and that was when my painting class was. Hello, Teacher Margot. Welcome. So I have canceled my painting classes, and I got tired of doing that, so that's why I've changed my schedule. So now painting will be tonight. Hello, Molly. Um, okay, so just to really quickly go over the supplies and a few housekeeping bits. I will say this: if you look in right here, you'll see my lovely little icon there and my name. That is because we are live streaming also in Discord on the voice chat. So Molly, if you want to say hey.
Hi.
There she is. So, just to show you that you also can join me if you would like to be part of the voice chat and get live feedback, then you can also join Discord. If you look right here, there is the address to my Discord channel. You can also type exclamation point Discord in the stream chat, which will bring up a link and or somewhere on the site. I think if you go under about, click on my name, go under about, and you should be able to find a Discord button there. All right, here's why joining my Discord is important, not just for voice, but there also is reference photos. So every time I do a class, I put my reference photo on Discord so that you have something to look at while you're following me along with me. Let me show you really quick what that looks like. So
Hi.
if you join Discord, this is what you're going to see. And you'll notice that there's a channel called Reference Photos. You click on that, and then you see the latest picture. What we're going to do, you can blow it up here. You can actually make it bigger by clicking Open Original. I'm not going to click on that because that will take me to a different window that you will not be able to see, but it should open it up in your browser. Okay, so that is that. If you would like to post your artwork, ArtCrit is where to do that. You can see that other people, Molly here has posted her artwork. All right. If you would like to join the chat where it says stream chat, you just click on that and you'll be live right along with us. You can always mute yourself if you don't want to talk right away. You can actually mute yourself first. It's down here. It's actually down below. You cannot see because my... Hold on, let me see if I can get rid of that real quick. There we go. Down here, that's to disconnect. This is your mute, which you cannot see. It is below. Anyway, mute is down there below. It's just a little microphone but looking thing. Okay, that's enough of Discord. I'm going to take that down. Let's really quickly talk about supplies, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So first I've got water. That's going to be very important because we're going to need to clean our brushes. I've got a palette that I can mix my paint on. An actual canvas. Now I'm using canvas board, so you can see it's very thin, but you can also use a canvas, like the thicker kind. I've got a palette knife for mixing my paint. I've got two brushes. One is a 3/4 inch wash brush. Also, you could use a size 10 or a 12 filbert. Filbert means that it's a flat brush that has this kind of rounded top, but mostly we want the flat. And then I've got a size 6 round brush. And all that means is that it's pointy. All right, my colors. So it's not particularly important that you use specifically the colors that I had posted at the beginning or that I put in the description. You don't have to have those exact colors. What you do need to have is a red, a blue, and a yellow. Those are your primary colors. Now, I happen to use naphthol crimson, phthalo blue and cadmium yellow medium. But again, as long as you have a red, a blue, and a yellow, you are good. It is also important that you have a white and a brown. Now, my brown, I use burnt umber, which has like a little bit of red in it. And for my white, I use titanium white. And the reason I like titanium white is because it covers a little bit better. Like, so it mixes. It's not as translucent, which means see-through. So I like that. I like the titanium white. There are other whites, zinc white, for example, but they don't have as good of coverage. Okay, one more note. We are using acrylic paints, but if for some reason you have these kind of paints, I want to let you know this is not ideal. I would not use these because they're much more liquidy. If you do have to use them, you're going to want some kind of dryer. I use this, which is like a hair dryer. This is actually for shrink wrapping, but it is basically you could use a hair dryer, just something that blows hot air. All right, so we've got that, and then paper towels, important. So I'll get a couple of those going. And then I'm also wearing an apron because acrylic painting is messy, and more importantly, it is permanent. So it does not come off of your clothes once it dries. So I would highly recommend wearing something you don't care about, or an apron or something like that. So Molly, are you prepared? Are you ready to paint tonight, or are you just going to be visiting?
I am actually painting tonight.
Awesome. Well, yeah.
I don't have one of the little spreader thingies.
This? You talking about the palette knife?
Uh-huh.
So what you can use instead is you can use a regular knife, especially if you have a plastic one. Do you think you have any plastic knives, like maybe in a package?
We have a whole bunch.
Okay, I would grab a plastic knife. You can use that instead.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and plug in my... my hair dryer. Well, it's not really a hair dryer, but it's almost exactly the same. Okay. So the first thing I want you to notice is that we have our canvas in the horizontal or landscape orientation. What we're doing tonight is a still life, and typically still lifes are in the portrait orientation, which is up and down like this. However, because we're doing a pair of shoes and one of them is turned sideways, it's a little bit longer. And so we're going to do it in this orientation. Now, something that I'd like to mention, so I don't normally do whimsical paintings. Like, for example, we're doing shoes. We did African drums, which I accidentally didn't even think about it, but I have right behind me the whole time we were drawing, I actually have a little drum. So we could have used this to look at. And I just completely forgot that I had it. So, I like music, so I always have musical stuff around me. Okay. So tonight we're doing high-heeled shoes. This week I'm doing whimsical art because, especially since I changed my schedule, I want to give people a chance to catch up to my new schedule, as well as we've done regular still lifes in the past, and of like fruit and things like that, and it can just get kind of boring, you know. I mean, the apples and the peaches and the stuff like that. I think we did apples and oranges one time. Like, it's fun, but I wanted to do something super fun, you know. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, we're going to use yellow. Okay? We're going to do our background in yellow. So go ahead and put some yellow, maybe about 2 dollops worth. We may need more than that, but we're just doing pure yellow, so it's okay. Now, we're going to get our brush wet first because when it's dry, it can be stiff and things like that. So you need to push it down in the water. And see all those, see the bubbles coming up? So I just take turns changing side to side and get all those bubbles out. That's all the air that's in there. And that can actually come out on your painting if you don't. So I like to do that first. All right, so I'm just gently wipe some of the water away. And then I'm going to come in and just a little bit on the side, I'm going to pick up some paint. Now, what I'm doing is I'm kind of mixing that water in with the paint. I don't want it to be too watery, so I'm kind of mixing it up first. But I don't want it to go all the way up to the top of my brush because then it gets stuck in there and it can get really gross and mess up your brushes. So I'm just doing it on the side, just to kind of mix it in. And then we're going to do very big strokes going all the way across. All right, and we're going to get a little bit more water. What the water does is it makes it loose. So it makes the paint where it does something. It can do something called dry brushing. Dry brushing is, see how it did that? See, I'm going to hold this up. See how it did this here? Where it pulled across the canvas and it caught on the gritty part of the canvas. That's called dry brushing, and we don't want that. We want it to be smooth. So the more water you have, the smoother it gets. Now, we're not going to be going all the way down. So I'm going to get a little more water because I want this to be smooth. Okay. And it's okay to use up your yellow paint because we can always get more. So I'm just going straight across, going back and forth. Now, I'm going to probably go down to about, I'm just going to kind of indicate a line, like maybe 2/3. I'm just going to go straight across there. The key to doing a straight line is moving your entire arm rather than your wrist. So instead of moving your wrist, you want to move your entire arm. And that will give you a straight line. So go ahead. You want this area here to be the last thing you paint because we're going to be mixing in some white. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and get my white ready. So I'm going to go ahead and get a little white there. I'm going to get that ready because we're going to be adding in some white at the bottom here. All right, so, and I need a little tiny bit more water. Notice that it's not going across as smoothly as I'd like it to. So I'm going to do that. Now, while the paint's still wet, and this is important, I'm going to wash off my brush To wash off the brush, you just kind of go back and forth like you're painting the bottom of your cup. Sometimes you have to go back and forth a little bit faster. Okay. I'm going to pick up some white the same way we did the yellow, where I just come on the edge. It's okay if it gets a little bit of yellow in there from the water. But we're going to paint right across the bottom while it's still wet. See, I'm just going to try to pick up some from the side without getting too much of my yellow paint in it. That's called contamination, when you get the yellow paint in it. But this is one way of mixing your colors. So I'm going to, just at the bottom here is where we're putting the white. So I just keep adding white. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more white right at the bottom. And I'm not going to try to blend too much. And what that does is it creates kind of it's hard for you guys to see because my light is so bright here, but it creates a little bit of a gradient in the background. And that is a way to blend colors. Molly, whereabout are you?
I'm exactly the same spot as you.
Excellent. Excellent, darling. Excellent. All right, so this time I washed my brush and I'm going to actually wipe it with a napkin. Okay. Now, we're going to go use our white. I don't know why I washed off my brush and dried it, because I really do need some more water. We're going to use our white and we're going to go straight across the bottom. It's okay if it has a little yellow on it. That's not a problem. But we're just going to do straight white on the bottom. And you wonder, well, my canvas is white, so why am I doing this? Well, because a plain canvas, you can actually, it picks up dirt and all kinds of other stuff, whereas the paint on it looks different and it has a different kind of shine to it. So by putting the white on there, it's going to actually make it look like a better painting. Okay. I just picked up a little bit of water because it was a little too dry, but I didn't pick up any more paint because I had plenty of paint on my canvas. Now I need to pick up some more paint, so I'll get a little bit more water. I'm going to move this over where you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay. Sometimes I finish my sentences. I'm just kidding. I do sometimes finish my sentences, but that wasn't what I was going to say. I just realized I had stopped mid-sentence. Sometimes I will use my bottom color to shore up the line. So what that means is that if I say it got like a little wavy in parts, then I can like really carefully come across and make it a straight line using the other color. That's what I was going to say. Also, sometimes if it starts to get too close to this part here, I will go ahead and wash my brush even though I'm using the same color, because that's called loading the brush. And when you load the brush, it can become bad news. You don't want there to be too much paint towards the top. Like I said,
I have to go switch my water.
Okay. Okay. Now we need this to dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute you guys. I'm unmuting because I want to tell you the way I'm doing this is that I'm just gently moving it back and forth. Again, this would be the same with the hair dryer, but I just want this to be completely dry. So, but I'm muting you guys because it can get pretty loud. Molly, can you mute yours? Thank you.
Sorry.
No, you're okay. Just a quick note also of what you're looking for. It's shiny. And the reason you're moving it around is because the acrylic can bubble up. But how you know it's done drying is that it will turn from shiny to matte finish, which means it looks very flat. That's when you know that it's dry. Okay. Oop. Haha. Sorry. Accidentally hit the power button. Okay. So we are now done with this brush and we're going to pick up our smaller brush. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make the red of our shoes. Now this is something I want you guys to be very comfortable with drawing with your paintbrush. Okay, so what we're going to do for our shoes, let's see. I want to mix in a little bit of our yellow, if you've got any yellow left. And, well, you know what? Actually, instead of that, let's do a little bit of our burnt umber because it has some yellow in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put the burnt umber in another area so that I don't get too much. And then I'm going to pick that up. All right. So I'm picking up just a tiny bit on my palette knife. And then I'm going to mix it in with my red. And we'll see what color we get and whether we're going to need to add some more.
Wait, so what are we doing right now?
So I just added a tiny bit of brown to my red.
Okay.
Just a little bit. All I'm trying to do is just darken up the red just a little bit. That's pretty good. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get my brush wet. Remember, we've got to let this, see those bubbles coming up? We've got to like get the bubbles out. Now, I like to go ahead and wash off the palette knife right away just by sliding it in the paper towel. Okay. So now our shoes, if you look at the if you look at the drawing, I mean the painting of the shoes, our shoes are facing away from us and to the side. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up a little bit of our red. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do this shoe here. And I'm going to look at the shape of the shoe. So let's see, we'll start with a small circle. And it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. And then I'm going to do a little bit bigger circle right at the edge like that, like right where it goes over that white there. Then I'm going to very gently draw kind of it's going to curve in just a little bit. Curved line. And then on this side, it's going to actually curve out a little bit. Then what we're going to do is we're going to have basically kind of like a little hat. Like that. All right, so that's our first one, and we're going to fill that in. This is why it's important that your painting is dry, because otherwise that would have mixed with a lot of yellow. Now this is just our first coat. We will be adding more to this. So don't worry if you can see your circle lines through the painting. Oh, I got a little brown there. That's okay. It just wasn't completely mixed in. So remember to pick up water, because that water is going to help lubricate the paint and make it move better over the canvas. Okay. All right. Are we all good on that shape?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now we're going to do our other shape. So we're going to do our circle, but this time the circle is going to be there. So that's our small circle. Now our big circle is going to be a little bit less of a circle and a little bit more of a teardrop shape. So we're going to do kind of a teardrop shape. Man, I keep picking up brown. Oops. I'm going to clean my brush because I was getting paint like up in the top part, which like I said, you don't want that. So we're going to do our teardrop shape. And it's just kind of round in the front. So like an egg maybe, like an egg shape. I'm not sure why I'm filling this in. Sorry. Force of habit. I'm just so used to doing that. I just started filling it in. But you can do that if you want. It wasn't time yet, but there we go. All right. Now this one, we're going to actually have... we're going to actually give ours like a stem. So it's going to scoop down just a little bit and come all the way to the center. Like that. Now this is going to go all the way down to right next to this other one. So I want to make sure those are the same. So I just give myself a little point so that they end right in the same place. Looks a little like a tennis racket. Okay, now this is going to be the tricky line. So it's going to be like a slide. I'm going to come down and scoop down to the, it's just like a little slide that comes down. Now this one has a hat too, but we're looking at the hat from the side. So there's our little hat there. And then it's also going to come down like a slide. And it's going to scoop down just a little bit, like it's going to end like in the same line, and then it like kind of flattens out like that. And we're going to paint that in. Okay. So let's fill that in. We already filled in the front part because I messed up and started doing that early. Okay. Now there is one little extra part of red that I want to add, and that's going to be right here at the top of the heel. It's going to actually scoop in like that. So there's going to be a little scoop there. Okay. Now. So now we need to actually start adding some color to this. All right, which is going to make our shoes look more realistic. All right. Oh, sorry. I just realized we've got the heel. No, you know what? We'll add the hang on. We're going to bring this heel down a little bit farther. Because guess what? I forgot there's the heel on this one. So right in the center, it's going to have like a little, kind of a little tongue. It's just sticking out its tongue. It's a little tiny. I made my tongue a little bit thick, so I've got to thicken the other heel so it looks correct. There we go. Okay. Now let's go ahead. We're going to mix a little bit of darker color. So we've got our brown here. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new color on this other side. But we're going to mix more brown in it than we did before. So I'm going to actually pick up quite a bit of brown. Oops. And if there's not enough, I can always add a little bit more. Because I want it to be a darker version of that red there. All right, I didn't have enough brown, so I'm going to add some more. Okay, now it's not going to be too much darker, so it's important to only add little bits at a time until you get it to the color you want, so that it's not too dark. And what I like to do if you're testing your color to see, you can always put a little bit right next to, I'm going to pick up a little bit of my other color. You can look at them and see, yep, this is definitely darker. So we are good. So I'm going to leave this color alone. But I like to just put a little bit next to it, and then I can see just exactly how much darker it is.
So my shoe that I made is fatter than the one that's on the screen.
That's okay. This is a fun painting,
okay.
So it doesn't have to be exact. That's fine.
Okay.
In fact, I'm going to add a little bit. That one layer wasn't so great. Okay. There we go. All right, I'm going to pick up my darker color. I need to add a little bit of water. And we're going to add areas of shadow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up at the top. And there's going to be shadow to the left of the shoe. And this shadow just kind of comes down the side of the shoe. And then there's going to be shadow to the right. And again, it just kind of comes down the side of the shoe. Now, sometimes what I like to do is pick up my original color and paint right next to it, and then blend the two, so then it looks like more purposeful. I might have to make a little bit more of my original color because I'm kind of running out. So I'll put my original color right in the middle there, and then you do your little feathering at the side. So you basically just kind of paint right over that line with little tiny strokes. That's called feathering. So there's some dark down the side of the shoe here. On both sides. And I'm gonna pick up some more of my middle red and put it right on the side of those and blend them just like I showed you before. So I'm just putting a little bit of red right there next to it and then painting lightly down the center of where they meet. Now we're gonna actually pick up a little bit of white, just a little bit, and right at the edge here we're gonna paint up, and then we got to do our blending magic. So hopefully it's still wet with the red. You see what I did there? Where like I just painted the red that was still wet right into the white. Did that make sense? Like it's basically mixing them on the canvas. So I'm going to get a little bit more white. And this side, we're going to actually scoop a little bit. Clean my brush off. And this red should still be wet, so I'm just going to paint that red right into the white. Is that making sense to you, Molly? Mm-hmm. Okay. And we're not gonna worry about the middle just yet. Okay. I'm gonna pick up some of this darker color. And actually I'm gonna mix it with just a little bit of the brown to make it even more brown. We don't need much of it though. Right about the middle of the shoe, like where our white ends on either side, we're going to paint very lightly a little half circle. And then we're going to paint a line that comes down to that half circle, like that. If your half circle is a little too big, you can come in with a clean brush and just paint right up against it, and that can make it smaller.
I have to dry mine first because it's still pretty wet.
Yeah, that's okay. You want it to be a little bit wet. Because that's like how you can blend your red a little bit. I mean, you can dry it if you need to, but I like having it a little bit wet. I'm just cleaning up some of my dark areas. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up some of my dark paint and coming straight down from that brown semicircle that we did. We're going to do this same thing that we did over here with the heel. And it's going to come straight down on both sides. Oops. All right, now I'm going to pick up some of my red, come down the middle, and blend that. Also, I'm going to pick up, while it's still wet, get just a tiny bit of my white, and I'm going to come over and paint like kind of a little triangle, and then scoop down the side. I'm going to do this on, I'm not going to do the triangle on the right side. I'm just going to scoop the white down. And then I'm going to clean my brush, dry it. And the drying part's important because it's very, very wet. And then I'm going to blend those. All you do with this, because you used your darker color, is you just come down and paint right at the edge of it. I got a little bit over, so I'm using a clean brush and just painting the edge. All right, I got to do this side. Okay. We're gonna, once we're done with this part, we're gonna actually leave this, go to our other shoe. Okay. So I'm gonna pick up some of my dark color. Are we ready for the next shoe?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm gonna pick up some of my dark color and I'm gonna paint right in the back here that goes down the heel. All right, then I'm gonna take, I need to pick up some water. I'm gonna take that dark color and I'm gonna come not all the way to the top, but I'm just gonna come straight down and follow the curve of that line, like the top line. Can you see how like I'm just a little bit below it, but I'm following the curve? Now, when you get to the bottom, I'm going to do a little bit of like a teardrop shape. And I might have actually gone a little bit too far with my teardrop shape. So as long as it's still wet, if you can get a clean brush, you can actually brush off paint that you didn't mean to paint there. You can kind of fix it. All right, while that's going, I do want to go ahead and get some of my red in here. Remember, we're going to do our blending. So I want to just blend this. Oops, I accidentally got some water on my... I need to make some more of my red because I'm almost out. Give me just a minute. I will be right back. I'm back. Just had to take a quick little break. I probably should have gotten more water. I didn't even think about that. Okay, I'm going to mix more red. So remember this it was mostly red with just a little bit of brown, but not much. So I just need to mix just a tiny bit of that. Just enough to darken it up just a little bit. You still hanging in there, Molly?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So the first shoe we made, it does not look as good as the second shoe.
That's okay. You're talking about on mine or on yours?
On mine.
Oh, it'll be okay. We're not done yet, so you can always fix it. Do you have enough of your original red color?
Yes.
Okay, I had to make some more. Okay. Now,
How'd you get the middle part, like the heel and the top little line?
that I did with that darker color. No. Okay, so this top line and that circular line there, I basically mixed a little bit of my dark red with a little tiny bit of brown right here in the middle. Okay. Now, I need to continue adding my dark color. So the front of the shoe is very dark. And then I'm going to pick up some of my red and come right at the edge of it. Let's see, I've got a little bit up here too. And I'm just kind of blending at the edges as I add my lighter red so that it blends everything in. You can always add a little bit more dark if you accidentally go too far, which I just did. Now, I'm going to paint a little bit more of this brighter red down here, and then I'm going to add just a tiny bit of white to the bottom of the shoe. And it mixed with my red because I had red still on my brush. But if you don't, let's say you just have the pure white, like there. Then what you do, remember, you clean your brush, dry it, and then you come in and just blend right together. Blend your because your red is still wet. That's why it's important to keep it wet in this particular stage. All right, now, let's see, I'm going to get some water. I'm going to add some more pure red right here. Now, unfortunately, my dark brown has already dried. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of dark brown. I mean, not dark. I mean dark red. I'm sorry. I'm going to pick up a little bit and just put it right at the edge there so that I have something to blend. Does that make sense? Because it had already dried, so I need something that blends. So I just put a little bit of extra dark brown there. And it just gives me something to blend. I'm adding some more red. And adding just a little bit more dark brown just to blend it. Okay. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of white. Are you caught up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm going to actually, starting at the back, I'm going to draw that first kind of curvy line just a little bit, just like about there. And since I just painted red, we should be able to blend that. All right. Now we're going to take our dark red. Well, sorry. My bad. We're going to take our brown, which has already dried. So a little bit of dark red and a tiny bit of brown mixed in. It's going to give us that kind of reddish brown color. And we are going to go right underneath where we just did. Now notice that I went a little bit past my shoe. Oops, I didn't mean to do that though. It's not dry yet, so I can still grab it. You just get a clean brush. There we go. Okay. All right, here's what we're gonna do. I realized that I made mine just a little bit too narrow at the top. So I'm gonna add a little bit of the pure red right underneath, and I'm gonna scoop up just a little bit more. So it was really just my scoop that was the problem. And then I'm gonna blend these. Now yours might have been fine, so you don't probably have to necessarily do what I just did. But I was explaining to you what I was doing, so you didn't wonder, why is she painting extra stuff? I'm going to paint a little bit more dark red right here. Just blend it in the back. And a little more up here. Okay. Now we're going to do some dark red right in the front of the heel. Oops, and I've got a little bit too much paint on my brush. I'm bringing the dark color down on both sides, just like we did on the other one. Okay, then I'm going to grab my regular red and paint right down the middle of it. I'm also going to take my regular red and go a little bit closer to the top part of the shoe, the top part of the heel. Because I think here. I think it was just a little more narrow than I was making it. All right. Only one part left to do, and that's this area in here. So we're going to take that, we're going to take straight brown, and we're going to go right up against the top of that kind of teardrop shaped curve that we did in there. And it's just going to kind of come up the side a little bit. Now, I'm going to take my dark color, my dark red, and I'm going to nope, sorry, that won't be dark enough. We'll have to mix a little brown with it. So I'm going to take my dark color and mix a little brown with it. Otherwise, it won't be dark enough for us to see because we already had done dark there. That's why. We're going to just do like a little smile. All right, now I'm going to take my red, and right in the middle there, I'm going to paint some more red and then blend it. Okay. I'm going to grab a little tiny bit of white and go right around the edge. And what I'm doing is I'm just not putting my paintbrush down very much. I'm like barely touching it. And I'm just going right along the edge. And I'm going to pick up just a tiny, 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 tiny bit of red and come in and paint right over it. Oh, and you know what? I think I painted too much. So I'm going to have to do the white again. My bad. No, actually that still looks okay. That looks all right. Let's see. I can add a little tiny bit more. Okay. One last thing we're going to do, we're going to take our darker red color and just very carefully go over along the outside of the other side of the shoe. And I needed to get water on my brush. Okay, so just the top part here. All right, we are almost done. Now we have to do our black. Did Molly tell me when you need to be caught up?
Nope, I'm still there.
Awesome. All right, so to make black, what you do is you mix brown, red, and blue. So we need to add a little bit of blue. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in another palette here. We don't need a ton of it. I've accidentally put a lot. It doesn't look like it, but that's because it's on its side. See? I accidentally put a lot. We just need a little bit of it. Like that amount. And we're going to mix it straight in with our brown. So that's going to make like a really dark blue color. It's almost black. Now we're just going to mix a little bit of our red in there. I'm going to actually clean my knife off. I'm going to pick up just a little bit of red and mix that in. And that should give us our black. And I know that seems weird. We're mixing basically purple and brown. But it works, and it makes a very nice black. What it is it's really a super, super dark brown. It's just so dark it looks black. Big John, hey, welcome. We are doing a fun, whimsical painting tonight. So now I'm going to pick up some of this black that we made. And we're going to paint the bottom of the shoe. So we're going to come on either side of our heel and go right up to the line that we made before, just very carefully. And this is going to actually go just a little bit to the left and the right. There we go. Now, when you get to the actual heel part, you can turn your canvas if you need to. All right. So I am going to go ahead and turn my canvas because it's easier for me as I'm right-handed. It's easier for me to paint a really nice crisp line right up along the edge of that heel. Now we're going to go most of the way up, but leave just a little bit at the top. We're not going to go all the way up into that corner. Show you guys. I'm just going to kind of angle it a little bit. All right. Now we got to do the other side. Don't forget to get water. Makes it nice and smooth. I'm going to paint the other side. Now remember how we went to the left a little bit there? We're going to actually go to the right. But just a tiny bit farther on the right, because we can see the right side of the shoe a little bit more. How you doing, Molly?
Good.
Good. So if you're just joining, you are welcome to join the voice chat, which is my Discord channel. Here it is right there. If you are already a member of Discord, then all you have to do is go in and just hit the stream chat, and you will be live along with me and Molly. If you don't have to, of course, but you will show up right here on the screen. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to scoop under the side like that. And actually I want to flatten this out just a little bit, my round shape. So I'm just going to flatten out the bottom and then scoop up like that. I'm not as big of a fan of the bottom of the shoe as I am with the rest of the shoe. It's not looking exactly how I had envisioned it, but it's all right. I will bring that up in my critique. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fatten it just a little bit. All right. Now, sorry, I'm going to fatten it a little bit more. Always the perfectionist. There we go. A little bit better. Okay. Now we're going to take the black and we're going to actually paint the underside of the other side over here, the right. Now this is going to be a very thin line that's just going to follow along the bottom of the shoe. And on the right, as it gets closer to the top of the shoe, it's just going to kind of get thinner. And it'll do the same thing on the left. Now it doesn't go all the way up the shoe. But let's see, it'll go almost to the heel. Almost. Okay, I'm going to use a new napkin because this one is getting pretty raggedy. I'm going to throw that away. All right. Always remember, clean workspace. Oh, and look what happened. It's a little bit of water. But clean workspace. It's important for an artist to have a clean workspace. So as soon as you generate trash, go ahead and throw it away. And that'll keep your workspace nice and tidy. All right, so what I'm doing is I painted a little bit of water on here, and then I'm cleaning it up with a dry brush. And that's because my line was a little bit thicker than I wanted it to be. There we go. All right. Last thing we need to do is the, for the shoe part of it, is the tip on the heel. And this is on heels of shoes to protect it. So we're going to actually just paint right at the bottom of this a little rectangle. And you can paint over the red a little bit if you have to. I'm turning mine because, again, I get my cleaner lines if it's coming from the right. Oops. Now this is a little bit of a curved line. All right. We're going to do the same thing for the other one. All right. Now I'm going to mix just a tiny bit of water in with some white. And I'm going to paint just a little streak right down the shoe. It's okay if it's not 100% dry because you've got the water on there. It shouldn't mix. All right. Now what we're going to do, we need to do our shadows on our table because right now we just have the we just have a white table and it doesn't look that great. Hope everybody's having a good night. Y'all caught up, Molly?
Mm-hmm.
She's so fast. She's almost as fast painter as I am. It's incredible. She's quite talented too. I can't wait to see her picture when she uploads it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix a little bit of white, and I'm just going to do it right here in the middle with my brush, with a little bit of my black. And we should make a gray. And I want it to be quite watered down. I'm going to add a little bit more white to that. I want it to be more white. All right. There we go. But it's very watered down. Oops. I don't want it to be too watered down. Okay. This is what we're going to do for our shadows. Oops. And I just stuck my finger in the paint. Okay. Oops. I'm making a mess here. All right, so right underneath the shoe, like right where the shoe meets, we're going to actually paint our diluted gray here. And then I'm going to, with no paint on my brush, I'm going to continue painting over to the right. But no, I'm not adding any paint to my brush. And what that's going to do is it's going to dilute it out. Oops, I do need a little tiny bit of paint up against the top of my shoe, because that will still be dark up there. But see how it's looking like it's fading a little bit? And you can get pure water if you need to. My water is red, so that's doing fun things, but that's okay. It'll just look like it's a reflective floor. But if you just keep painting with no paint on your brush, it'll just fade out. All right. So we're going to get some gray, some more of our gray, and we're going to do the same thing on this side. Oops. And I accidentally painted on my shoe, so I need to grab that. But I want to fade this out first. Oh, I'll probably just have to paint over that with black. That's okay. So I'm just kind of doing the shape of the shoe. And then we're going to have some gray coming directly from the heel. All right. That's pretty much it. Let's see. I'm like not happy with the way this heel looks. There we go. Better. All right, remember how I accidentally painted over this? So I'm just going to take my black and just clean that up. Shore up that line. Okay. I feel done. I don't know about you guys. Do you feel done, Molly?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now it's time to sign it. Now, I have a gold paint pen, but I don't want to sign it in gold. So I'll be right back. I'm going to grab a black paint pen. Ta-da! Black. Okay. So the way these paint pens work is, normally gold is fine, but the way these paint pens work is I need to shake it and then press down. There we go. Get the paint flow in. All right, and I'm gonna sign. I like to sign in the bottom left, right hand corner, left, right, you know, whatever. Okay, so ta-da. Now, I did get a little bit of spots up here. There's not really a good way to clean those off. So what you can do, now look, it looks like I'm painting more on there, but for me, the best bet, so remember how that was pure yellow? We'll just paint a little yellow over it. We'll just take care of that right there. Look at that. What spots, you say? You know? All right. Don't forget to clean your brush really well. All right. Now, I'm going to give you guys some tips for cleaning your brush real quick before we continue. When you go to clean your brush, so you clean it in your water, but that just gets the initial paint out. But if you don't clean it under your actual faucet water, it's going to get really crusty, and we don't want that. So what you do is you put a little soap right in the middle of your hand. You get your brush wet, and then you take and you can put your hand right under the water and just swirl it around, and the water should turn colors. Okay, so like it should actually turn the color of whatever's still in your brush. Mine's probably going to be this black here, maybe some red. You can put a little bit more soap, get water on your brush, do it again, and you do that until it runs clear or it's foaming the white in your hand. That is how you dry your brushes. Now, when I'm done, I actually slide it between my fingers. That will reshape it. You can like, you know, just kind of reshape it if you have to. Always dry flat. Like, don't dry up like that, because what will happen is that water, if there's a little bit of paint in it, will get down into your bristles and it will make them loose and they'll come out. So always dry flat. And what I usually do is I dry, here I'm going to turn this so you can see. I dry it like where it's just coming off the side of the countertop, and just let it stay like that. That way it dries in exactly the right shape. Never leave it sitting in water like that. Like, never leave it sitting in water, mostly because the paint, it can get up into this part here, but also because it will push your brush down like that, and then it will stay in that position, and you'll make it so that you ruin your very nice brushes. So that's how you clean your brushes. I haven't ever taught that before, and I thought that was really important for me to do. Also, the same thing, you want to make sure your palette's really clean. I use like a little scrubby and get under there. Okay, critique time. All right, Molly, you go ahead and take a picture of yours and upload it.
Okay.
And I see a part that needs to be fixed right now. Hold on. I'm going to get a little bit of my dark color. Oops. And I'm just going to paint right up here in the front of the shoe, where apparently I just missed it.
I'll be right back.
Okay. There we go. Better. All right, so critique time. The pressure's on. All right, I actually see another part I need to fix. You know, always the perfectionist. That is the life of an artist. We always want to fix everything. But you know what, guys? You can't always fix everything. Sometimes you got to go with the flow. This is what Bob Ross says. Happy accidents. I'm a big fan of Bob Ross. He's super chill. Has that super mellow tone, you know. He actually streams live on Twitch. So if you're not watching me, you should always feel free to watch some Bob R, man. He usually, so he's not alive anymore, but they still stream his channel. Like, they stream his videos on his own channel here. So So you can watch them. It's usually the weekends when they do it. They do Bob Ross marathons where they just play his videos like all day. It's pretty cool. Bob Ross is a chill dude. But anyway, his whole thing is that he calls them happy accidents. And that is when you make a mistake. And then you play with it and you like make that mistake into something wonderful rather than trying to fix it, you know? Because not everything in life needs to be fixed. You know, sometimes it's exactly how it's supposed to be. In fact, I would say most of the time it's exactly how it's supposed to be. So, you know, there's your life lesson for today. You didn't even know you came to an art stream and you learned about life. All right. So, I'm going to go ahead and critique this. I am done. I promise. No more. All right. So, first things first, I think my shoe is a little fatter than I originally drew, which is why the bottom of my shoe is a little bit narrow. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and bring up Discord so that you can see what the original shoe looks like. Hey, Molly. All right, I am getting ready to bring up Discord. All right. So let's look at this reference photo. So here's what we're looking at. So we're looking for these light areas here on either side. We've got the black that goes underneath. They did a shadow on the wall. I did not because I didn't think my shoes were close enough to the wall. I want them to be farther back, so I didn't do the shadow on the wall. But we're generally looking for this shoe shape. Okay, that said, now let's look at mine. All right. So, I think that, especially considering that this was a whimsical painting and it wasn't intended.
I just posted it.
You did? Okay, great. We'll take a look at yours very shortly. Since this is a whimsical painting and it wasn't meant to be like really accurate or fancy or anything like that, then I think I did a pretty good job. Now, the way I do my critiques is that I want you to say one thing very positive that you think you did well, and then one thing that you think you could work on for next time. So the one thing I think I did very well is my shading, where I blended my dark red and my light red together, like in here, right there on the heel. Like, I think I did a really great job of doing my blending. And especially this dark area right here, I think looks pretty good. So that is the part that I think I did the best. I actually think the shadow here, or really not the shadow, but the reflection actually looks pretty decent too. So those are the parts that I think are effective. The part that I think is ineffective is the bottom of this shoe here. I'd really like to fix that and kind of straighten that out a little bit more. Overall, I don't think it's terrible, but I would like to fix that. That's probably about it. I think that's probably what I would like to fix with this. Maybe this shadow, this reflection over here, I might bring it out a little bit more. Actually, I can do that right now. Well, no, I can't, because I ran out of the dark, the gray. So, nope, we're leaving it. All right, that is mine. Now, let's take a look at Molly's, and we're going to have Molly do her own critique. That is excellent. Oh, Molly, that's fantastic. Now, I will say that this second shoe is a little bit differently shaped.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to fix.
Okay.
Because at first it was like not right.
Nope, I gotcha. So here's what I would do. Do you want my advice on it?
Yes, please.
I would take a little bit of your yellowish white and come in here and do a little triangle here.
Okay.
So that'll make that higher. Then you can take your regular yellow and just paint a line, paint right over here until you get the shape that you want. But this is excellent. You did a great job. Okay, so you tell me what you see. What is your favorite thing about this that you think you did very well?
My favorite thing was probably The first shoe, I like the heel and the back where the black is.
Mm-hmm. What do you like about it? What do you think is working really well for it?
Um, the way I shaped the heel and where I put the black.
Okay. So you think that you got your proportions and your placement right with the black area and the shape of your heel. I would like to additionally add that I think right in here, this color that is very effective. I think you did a great job of bringing in the lighter red with
Thank you.
the darker red on the side. And what you can do is you can blend it even more. Now I can always show this to you in person, but because you haven't taken my class before, but what you do is you add a little bit of your regular red shade right next to the darker red while it's still wet. You clean off your brush and then you paint right down the line in between those two, and it will blend the colors together. You do it everything while it's still wet. But you did an
Okay.
excellent job here, and this right here is perfect. This line. Now the shape of this shoe, like we said, it's a little wonky, but I think you can fix that. Um,
Mhm.
this right here is really great. You could darken it up just a little bit
Okay.
with some deep brown, and that will make that come out a little bit more. But this is excellent. You did a great job. Now,
Thank you.
what part? Your shadow, by the way, is also really good. What part do
Thank
you
you.
think you would work on? Like, if you were to paint this again, what would you do differently?
I would work on the size and the proportion of how big or how wonky it would be. I would make it.
Okay, I think that's excellent. Um, I think you did a fantastic job, and I hope that if you go in and you fix this little area here and this area here, that you will repost the painting after you're done, and so we can see take two.
Okay.
Great job. All right. Now, if anybody else was following along, even if you're watching this later, you are always welcome to join my Discord and add, just like Molly did. You can add it. Now, obviously, I won't be live, but I can give you feedback in text. So, thank you so much for joining me today, everyone. Thank you especially to Molly, who did the painting along with me and joined me in voice chat. Big John says, continue the black sole on the right side and it will look better. Right. I could add a little bit more. You're talking about on this side here? Okay. Thank you everyone for coming. I appreciate your viewership, and I hope to see you at the top. Oh, you mean like going up a little bit farther? I can actually do that right now. Let's see. Hold on, I gotta get back to the... I get just a little bit of black. So what Big John is suggesting is that I come up a little bit. While I'm here, I'm going to actually...
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Sorry. I'm fixing since I was there already. There we go. All right. That's better. All right. Good job. Thank you, John, for the feedback. I appreciate that. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining me. I hope to see you guys next Tuesday. Since my stream schedule has changed, it is now Tuesdays and Thursdays Eastern time from 7 to 9. So I hope you will join me, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a fantastic weekend.